Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Susie Lindemann. Thanks. Substituting, serving as today's service associate. This afternoon, Reverend Matt Alspaugh will share our message. By the way, if you didn't put a flower, your flower, if you brought one, in a vase in the front, you can do so now. All flowers are front. We're good. We have extra flowers if you didn't bring one, but they're here now. If you're on Zoom, you might want to find a flower or a picture of a flower, because we're going to use these later. Let us enjoy our prelude music by the Reverend Mary Doan, joining us from New Hampshire. We are so glad that you're here. Whether you come seeking connection, inspiration, or simply a moment of peace, may you find within this gathering a sense of belonging, and may your spirit be nourished by what you discover here. Our opening words this afternoon are by Reverend Kimberly Ann Tomsack Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nourished you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource. That belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love. A heart home, I love that word, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home, welcome to worship. If you are new and would like to receive our newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of the welcome team, or write to us at info@lcuuf.org. Would members of our welcome team please stand up? Please stand up. Yay, welcome team. Please sit down. And of course, whether you are new To our fellowship or longtime participants, know that you are all welcome and that we are glad that you are with us today. Is there anyone who's visiting us for the first time or has returned or reconnected with us after a long absence? If so, we invite you to share your name and tell us where you are from. When the mic is passed, if you are willing, please raise your hand and the mic will be brought to you. No visitors today. How about on Zoom?
There are no visitors on Zoom.
Good. Then we'll go to Zoom. People in the room, then to Zoom. Stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up.
Hello, my name is Celine, and I'm visiting this town. I'm from Berlin in Germany. Yes. And I'm traveling through with my boyfriend. He was just preoccupied, so yes, thank you.
There's someone here that has been gone for a long time, but she's back, so we have another one. Wait till the mic comes. They want to hear you on Zoom.
Thank you. Hi, a lot of you know me. I'm Christy Caldwell. Devorah told me I had to do this, and she the boss. So I moved away for about 18 months, a little longer than that, to do some things in the States, and now I bought a house about 2 blocks down this street. So we will have a huge party whenever I get my furniture, might be a couple of months. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back, and I will rejoin, so I need to talk to, who do I need to talk to rejoin? Paula?
Paula,
Okay, Paula.
right there.
Thank you.
And Tim about singing for us. Of course. Yes, we would love that. She's a fabulous singer. Is anyone new on Zoom?
There are no visitors on Zoom.
So, welcome all friends, visitors, members. Here at LCUUF, LCUUF. I'm not good at this, but I'm trying. Here at LCUUF, each week we offer something unique, reflections from our minister, Reverend Matt Alspaugh, as well as insights from members and guest speakers. We warmly invite you to return and journey with us through this ever-unfolding landscape of thought, spirit, and belief. Lighting the chalice. Our chalice lighting words today are by Jennifer McLaughlin. Do we light it before or after the poem? After, okay. At the first hint of green, as the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays, and ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. We will now light the chalice. And now, having lit the chalice, let us sing these words together. We kindle this night in celebration for the life that we share. Each week we come together to lament with, celebrate with, and care for one another in our community. We come to this service as a whole people, not just Sunday versions of ourselves. Each week we take a few minutes to acknowledge and share what's real in our lives. There is power in the sharing as we hold each other in community. This is a time to briefly share a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone. A sentence or two is enough. We'll begin here in the room and then include those joining us on Zoom by reading what's been shared in the chat. If something feels important for you to name today, we are ready to listen. As the mic is passed, please share your joys or sorrows, whatever you may be holding that is in need of your healing and caring thoughts.
Thanks, Mike. So, my name is Mark, for people who don't know me. I was at a fabulous event yesterday, which was the Democrats Abroad No Kings rally, and it was very inspiring and full of chants and original songs by local songwriters. It was like being back in the 70s. And anyways, thanks to the people, there's a number of people in this fellowship who were organizers, and I won't start to name them because I don't know them all. So that's my joy. Gloria and I have mixed feelings because we're departing on Wednesday for 6 months back in Canada. In our hometown of Winnipeg, the high was 9 below Celsius yesterday. So what are we doing? I have no idea. But we have our family and friends there, and our lives are kind of divided between these two places at this time. So yeah, we're leaving with mixed feelings.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Mark and Gloria. My name's Tim, and I was with you yesterday on the plaza in spirit for sure, but in actuality was picking up a new for us car, which I'd put out as a prayer request some time ago. We're test driving it for about 7 days to see if it's the right fit for us. So we'll see. But anyway, happy about that. And then one sorrow to add to that, a friend of mine in Olympic Valley fell 2 days ago, broke her hip. She's in a hospital and will be having therapy, I think, starting tomorrow. So prayers and thoughts for my friend Anne.
I have found out, this is Paula, I have found out I have 3 friends in Australia facing major medical issues, and one is looking at palliative care, and I'm just shaken by it.
I just wanted to wish my friend June, with whom I bunk occasionally for a couple of months, a very happy, can I say how? 75th birthday. I was 75 last November, so I'm glad you're now caught up to me. So please wish my beautiful friend June Iguchi, who does so much in this community, a very happy birthday.
Hi, I'm Ellen, and I just wanted to express how I feel about my youngest brother, who had a heart attack last week, but it has a good ending. He got to the hospital, and they he had 95% blockage in a coronary artery, and they put in a stent, and he's home now and doing very well. So it's from bad to good.
Hi, my name's Terry. And my sorrow is that my wife Nancy and I are also departing on Wednesday, being April Fool's Day. But we're going to Florida, about 86 degrees, plus 86 degrees. That'll be good. But we will be back next year. I'm sorry to miss the house opening party. But, from Florida too. So. Well, we'll be... Okay, we're back on January. It's January, yeah. So we'll miss you all, but we'll be going to the UU in Naples, Florida, and then Connecticut, where the daughter lives. So we'll be sticking with the UU.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ilona, and I'm pleased that today we're offering our last film at the Movies That Matter, and it's a community event. We've asked everyone to bring at least one Mexican student, so I'm really looking forward to having that opportunity. It's a film about the first Mexican-American astronaut, and it was never shown in Mexico, so we're making it a real community event. If any of you can come, 2 o'clock at Cine Plus.
Cinema, Cine Mas Lago.
Cine Mas Lago, Bougainvillea.
The cinemas Lago. See
Hi,
you
I'm
there.
Louise, and I have 3 friends who are battling breast cancer right now, so I'm holding them in my heart, and hope you will too.
Are there any joys or sorrows on Zoom this afternoon?
Yes, we have a joy from Colleen Berry. My first cataract surgery was a great success. So glad my friends here in Austin recommended a great surgeon. Can't wait for the next eye to be done.
We kindle this candle as a flame of remembrance and love, illuminating the joys and sorrows shared among us and those resting gently in the silence of our hearts. Let us share a moment of silence. We pass the baskets during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessings of abundance. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday afternoons. Please know that all of the money we collect during the service this afternoon is donated to 6 charitable organizations here at Lakeside. For March, we have been highlighting one of these organizations, Food Bank Lakeside, which provides food to our poorest neighbors nearby. The description is on the monitors. As we pass the baskets, if you are new here today or you are struggling to hold things together, please let the basket pass you by. Your presence here is more than enough and is a present to us. Today's offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. As we receive these gifts, may we remember the abundant blessings that we have received. May we use these gifts to foster love and justice in the world. Our opening hymn is Color and Fragrance. This hymn was written by Norbert Capek, who was the creator of the flower communion service that we are celebrating here today. Matt will say more later on that. Please rise in body and spirit and join us in singing. Mary will play. We'll hear it on Zoom. Color and fragrance, magical God's vision growing. I like that. This poem is At the Spring Dawn by Angela Weld Grimke, who was part of the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s. I watched the dawn come, watched the spring dawn come. At the red sun shoulders his way up through the gray, through the blue, through the lilac mists. The quiet of it, the goodness of it. One bird awoke, sang, word, a blur of black against the sun, sang again, afar off. And I stretched my arms to the redness of the sun. I stretched to my fingertips, and I laughed. Ah, it is good to be alive. It is good to love at the dawn, at the spring dawn.
Good afternoon. So I want to share a brief history of this flower communion service. This service, which we are about to celebrate, originated in 1923 by Dr. Norbert Capek, who was the founder of the modern Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. But as a young man, he had become a Baptist minister and founded a number of churches in Czechoslovakia. But facing religious oppression from the Catholics, Capek left Czechoslovakia in 1914 and immigrated to the United States of America. And there he became progressively more religiously liberal. And he left the Baptists and discovered Unitarianism. So in 1921, he went back to Prague, back to his homeland, and started a church with support from the American Unitarian Association. Now, the Sunday services at this Unitarian church were typical of many Unitarian churches of the day. The whole service was just one long sermon, mostly. As one of my preaching teachers used to say, too many words. And I've got an important call, but I'm going to ignore it because we were supposed to turn off our phones, weren't we? They'll figure out how to get my power back on. They don't need me. Even though Capek was a great speaker, these services were a bit too dry, a bit heady, a bit too intellectual, and people complained. So Capek added hymns and explored ritual. He realized that just borrowing rituals from other churches wouldn't do, as many of his members were ex-Catholic and they objected to anything like communion wafers, for example. So Capek created what he called the flower ceremony. On the last Sunday before summer, everyone, children and adults, were invited to bring a flower to church as we did this morning. They left with a different flower than the one they brought. The meaning of this ritual was that we are all different. We are all beautiful. And in our community, we share the gifts of diversity and beauty with one another. Capek's church became a very successful Unitarian church, growing to some 3,000 members. As many of you know, this story ends sadly. When the Nazis invaded Czechoslovakia, threw Capek in prison, and ultimately murdered him in a death camp. So the flower celebration holds multiple emotions for us, both a sense of joy for the beauty and community, mixed also with a sense of sadness and loss, recognizing and holding up the courage of this man in a time of oppression.
Our next hymn is Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. It is also by Norbert Capek. Note how the lyrics express a theology of questioning and wondering rather than of knowing. Now, we usually invite you to stand for singing. That is for the simple reason that we tend to sound louder when singing while standing, but this is a rather pensive, meditative hymn, so let's just remain seated while singing.
All righty. Well, this has been kind of an interesting Sunday, for me at least, as I try to deal with a power problem at my house at the exact same time I'm supposed to be up here talking with you. But we'll get things sorted out maybe, and if not, it's kind of how it is here in Mexico. You know, we have some power, a little bit, half the house. The other half we better not touch because it's high voltage. All right, back to here. We Unitarian Universalists have relatively few rituals compared to, say, the Anglicans or the Jews, but we do have a few, and some of them are truly our own. Every week, we light this chalice, hidden by the flowers now, and then we have some annual rituals, such as the water service and this one, the flower communion. Now, admittedly, we also do use rituals from other traditions. Many of our congregations will do traditional Christmas and Easter rituals. And I've also seen some congregations do things like a pagan ritual that involve people jumping over a burning cauldron. We do love fire. And here at LCUUF, we've celebrated Kwanzaa. We've also done a New Year's burning bowl rituals, also drawn from pagan traditions. And we've celebrated the Jewish high holy days with its numerous ritual components. And of course, Dia de los Muertos from Catholic and indigenous origins. But, you know, some Unitarian Universalists are uncomfortable with such rituals. Now, some people are just uncomfortable with any ritual at all, but without ritual, I think we too could become a dried, boring discussion group, as Norbert Capek faced in his congregation. But others are uncomfortable with rituals from other traditions. And I think this is a legitimate concern. We certainly need to be careful about appropriating, that is to say, stealing rituals that are not offered to us. we should also be careful about honoring the intent of a ritual. And if we cannot honor that intent, then we should not use it. But sometimes, many times, the owners of the ritual, that is to say the groups of other faith traditions that originally created it, have many varying understandings about what the ritual means and varying willingness to share it with others. So among them, perhaps there will be some groups that are willing to share and will want to share, and perhaps they have an interpretation of the ritual that resonates with our own Unitarian Universalist values. That was the case, for example, when we had the Jewish High Holy Days services that we celebrated in the past. We were able to use interpretations that fit us and the Jewish celebrants that were with us. So I'm very happy when we are able to legitimately borrow rituals from other traditions and use them in a way that fits our own traditions. In the same way, I'm very happy when we can share our rituals with other faith traditions. So I recall in the early days of in seminary study, when I was at a liberal Methodist school. Now, this school served a wide variety of different faiths, mostly Christian, but included UUs. And so we Unitarian Universalists were a small minority, but we were very much welcomed in that seminary. And so every year we offered the flower communion ritual at one of the weekly chapel services. Is that not quite the slide? I think it's the next one. Let's see what we got. Yeah, this one. So we would offer a flower communion service at the weekly chapel service. And I found out this later. As my student colleagues went on to serve churches in their own faiths, many of them took the idea of the flower communion with them, offering it as a ritual in their own churches. And for that, I was glad. Now, there's some confusion about the name of this flower ritual. Most Unitarian Universalist congregations now call this flower communion, which does bring up images of Christian communion with its bread and wine. Capek himself preferred to use words like flower festival or flower celebration, since he had many ex-Catholics in his church, and he didn't want them to get confused about this ritual. There was no transubstantiation going on. Nobody was expected to eat anything, certainly not flowers in the ritual. But I'm comfortable with this word, communion, because when you reach back to the roots of that word, communio, we find it means sharing or the act of sharing. And so I think we can rightfully call this ritual a flower communion, since it is the act of sharing flowers. But like any ritual, it symbolizes much more than just the exchange of flowers. As Capek suggested, this sharing among us symbolizes the uniqueness of each person's dignity and the strength of our community built from individual and varied gifts. So as I was putting together this service, I knew I wanted to include a couple of Norbert Capek's hymns, even though they may not be super familiar with us. He was prolific. He wrote some 90 hymns. But there's this old joke that goes, "Why are you such poor hymn singers?" It's because while they're singing, they're reading ahead to see if they agree with the words. And so if you paid attention to the words of the two hymns we sang, both spoke of God or of spirit. And what is interesting to me is that in each of these hymns, Capek offers a remarkably modern idea of God. In the first hymn, Color and Fragrance, Capek writes of a growing, changing God. He suggests that we might be moving in harmony with this growing God, and more so that we are in fact part of God's vision growing. So we're in relationship with this Creator who is evolving, growing, just as we are evolving and growing. And then in the second hymn, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, we're invited into this space of unknowing, of wonder and mystery. The questions are real ones that we wrestle with. We're not handed easy answers out of some scripture book or from some spiritual leader. We're each invited to ponder the questions ourselves about the relationship we have, if any, with this Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, however it exists for each of us. So in these hymns, Capek speaks of a theology, a spirituality that is surprisingly modern. These hymns predate the development of something called process theology. This theology suggests that God is not some unchanging, all-powerful being that we must bow down to. Rather, God evolves and develops just as we do. And God is in a relationship with us, urging us, luring us towards lives of goodness and beauty. So that, in this case, we and God can together enjoy those spring dawns, both of us laughing and loving and feeling good to be alive. Unitarians and Universalists such as Charles Hartshorne were leaders in developing this theology in the mid-20th century. Process theology is a big topic, probably worthy of a Sunday service or several. And even if process theology doesn't quite fit your worldview, and even if you are, for example, a committed atheist or agnostic, it's still a good thing to know something about. It can help you understand the diversity of theologies in Unitarian Universalism, for it can be a rational and satisfying approach, intellectually satisfying approach to theism. But back to rituals. Why do we do them? Well, for one thing, rituals are a way of communicating without words. In the Zen Buddhist tradition, there is the story of the Buddha teaching his disciples. And instead of giving a sermon, he reaches over into the muck and pulls out a flower, a lotus flower, and he just holds it up, saying nothing, just holding silence. And the disciples are confused, and they begin to talk amongst themselves about the meaning of the flower and what it might symbolize and how it fits in with their teaching. A lot of chatter, a lot of words. And one of the disciples, Mahakasyapa, said nothing. He simply smiled back at the Buddha. And the Buddha handed him the lotus flower, and he said to the disciples, "What can be said, I have said to you. And what cannot be said, I have given to Mahakasyapa." Thus, Mahakasyapa understood the Buddha's wordless teaching and, in fact, became the Buddha's successor in teaching. So let us now have our flower ritual. As you come forward to receive a flower, notice the diversity of forms of the flowers. Even the diversity of the flowers that all look the same, because the flower person that sold them to us decided we all needed the same flowers, but they're not. And there's still a whole variety of other flowers as well. Be reminded of the blessing of our diversity. Be reminded of the beauty that comes when we share our diverse qualities and natures with each other. So Mary will play as we come forward, and I invite you to come forward through the front aisle, take a flower, and then go back to your seats on the side aisles. The ushers will help in this process, as will Susie.
Start with the front.
Mm-hmm.
you have a little bit more to say. Matt?
Whenever Dr. Capek would conduct this flower celebration in Prague, he would say these words as a blessing. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship and doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of others' talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Amen, and blessed be. So we now have a time for meditation. Let us actually meditate on these flowers, which we hold, their color, their form. Those of you who are on Zoom, we mentioned if there is possibility of getting a flower or even a picture of a flower, bring it up just to have something handy as well. So our meditation begins with a reading by Reverend Carolyn S. Owen Toole, a Unitarian Universalist in California. See a blossom in your mind's eye. Allow it to fill the interior of your imagination. Gather perfection of form. Greater perfection of form in nature cannot be imagined. So with inner gaze, absorb each wondrous fluted petal. Slide down its humid surface until you drop as the dew into its velvety core. Immerse your senses into this safe chamber. Such fragile beauty gives impulse to weep. And slowly reverse the journey. And as you ascend the shaft towards wider light, turn your imagination around and around to see its many facets stored within as the memory of all flowers. Marvel that this creation, while utterly fragile, yet undaunted, boldly buds forth, turning resolutely towards the sun. We too shimmer with expectation, exuding our own illumination, color, pulse, and scent. Vulnerable. Still, we venture our lives out courageously toward hope and light, at once fragile and rooted. And so a brief time of silence while we view or imagine our flowers. Blessed be.
Our closing hymn is a familiar one to many of you, Blue Boat Home. The tune may sound particularly familiar as we sang different words to the same tune just 2 weeks ago. Notice how this hymn, like the last one, invites us into wonderment, asking questions of the deep. Oh, please stand.
Well, at least the power problem at my house has been resolved. And so returning to this, just before he was murdered by the Nazis at Dachau, Dr. Capek, yeah, tough transition, I know. Dr. Capek wrote this prayer reflecting on his own life and the state of his spirit. I read, "It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. Oh, blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight and everything would worthless seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul. My life was worth living. He who was pressed from all sides but remained victorious in spirit is welcomed into the choir of heroes. He who overcame the fetters, giving wing to the mind, is entering into the golden age of the victorious." May it be so for all of us. Blessed be, and go in peace.
We'll all swim to shore. Victory. Blah, blah, blah. Let us extinguish our chalice with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world. Music. Slow down. worship is over. Our service begins.